A recomposition is the fastest and most effective way of fixing skinny fat by losing body fat, keeping muscle, and if you're still quite new to the gym, you can still gain muscle following this procedure, just like my client Reese did. Entirely a recomposition. 12 months, I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you it's 12 weeks or 5 minutes like people say on the internet. What I've done here is I've broken down the recomposition into 3 phases, so you know what to do and what each phase looks like, but also kind of just what to expect. What should you do at what point? Because a lot of people will start a diet and they think they can just keep doing the same thing and get a new result every time. What got you here won't get you there, so you need to adjust and change things as you go along. So here is the 3 phases of fixing skinny fat, doing a recomposition to lose body fat and gain muscle, and this is what I've done over 223 times with various clients over the years. So let's get straight to it. Phase 1 is the setup, and this is exactly what it says, I was going to say on the tin, but what it says on the board. The setup is, we need to know what calories you're aiming for, we need to know what macros you're aiming for, and we need to know what your training plan is and the do's and don'ts. This is the foundation of the whole process. So to keep this simple and keep the confusion and overwhelm and jargon to a minimum, we need to work out what your calories should be, okay? This is very much the most important thing, and if you leave the video after we've broken this down, that's fine, because that is the most important thing. A lot of people will throw around things like, yeah, bro, you gotta fast until like 12:30, but if it's 1 o'clock, it's ruined. Like, they make up all these silly rules. No carbs after 6, which is, people are still saying, can you believe that? Or, gotta do keto, mate, because insulin spikes and all that. People just come up with all these random things, microbiomes, you name it, there's probably someone making up. Tell me what the newest one is, because I'd love to know. Doesn't matter though, does it? It's all about calories. We all know that, and that is boring, hence why people look for other options, but calories are the be-all, end-all. Now, when it comes to recomposition, we don't want to go too low on the calories, because if you're too low on the calories, you're going to be catabolic, and once you're catabolic and the calories are massively low, you can start to lose muscle tissue. So you'll lose weight on the scales, yes, but you'll end up being a smaller version of skinny fat. You're not necessarily going to be healthy, you're going to feel like crap, and that's why people stick to a diet and fall off and think, oh, it's just too hard. And it's going to be too hard if you're eating too little, right? You need to function. But on the flip side, we don't want to eat slightly over those calories, because if you eat at maintenance or slightly higher, then you're not going to be losing body fat and you'll probably start to gain body fat. So we need a very precise, very definitive calorie deficit that is small enough to sustain for a longer period of time. That's what this little line is here. Now, to work that out, there is a free nutritional blueprint. Okay, I don't mind if you go and use an online calculator or ask AI. The reason I provide you with a free nutritional blueprint is that way I know you've got it done correctly. Because you can ask an AI or an online calculator and punch in a bunch of numbers and get a number that's just not right for you. This is contextual. You know, we need to know specifics about your goals, what you're trying to achieve, etc. So vague calculators don't, factor in things like the fact you're trying to fix skinny fat, the fact that you're doing a recomposition. It's just going to go, here's your BMR, and yeah, just eat that. Like, they just don't give you the full picture. So I've provided you with this so you can do that. Work out your numbers. Once you've got your maintenance, we're going to take off about 500 calories from that maintenance to enter a 500 calorie deficit. Why? Because 3,500 is about 1 pound of fat per week, because that's 500 times 7 days a week. 1 pound of fat is good. Now you might think, well, if I do 1,000, will I lose 2 pounds? Yeah, but you might start losing muscle as well. So this is the point. We need to be hitting a very specific calorie target. And the best way to do that is track. I'll be honest with you, tracking is the best way to go about it. If you don't want to track, you can get your numbers and shove it up. No, you can get your numbers and you can divide it by how many meals a day you eat. So if you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and your target is 2,500, divide it by 3. Okay, that's a really easy way to do it if you want to follow a meal plan. There's nothing wrong with meal plans. I just find, and in my experience, and I've done over 100 meal plans now for clients, people don't stick to it longer than a week. Because if you go, right, okay, breakfast is oats, and then lunch is chicken, broccoli, and rice, yeah? And then dinner is some fish and a rice cake, great. Do that. How long for? Can you do it for a year? Probably not, right? So it needs to be foods that you actually enjoy. So if you're tracking your calories, you can sort of figure out what food you like to eat that actually hits those numbers. You start to see what's in food, where you're going wrong. It just really fixes a lot of problems. So work out your numbers, set your targets on your phone, track it. I recommend MyFitnessPal. You can use any app that helps you track your calories. Just make sure they're accurate. And if you want to really keep things, books and quills, old school, carry a pigeon and all that, write it in a notepad or just do a meal plan. You just have to get those numbers right. None of this works. None of these transformations would happen unless those numbers were correct. That is the be all end all, to be honest. Okay, just saying it right now. In fact, just to show you, this was me when I didn't know anything about calories. 6 years. Training, 5 days a week, not really much change. I was eating chicken, broccoli and rice, all that stuff, right? I even had the mass gainer shakes. I even took creatine. Nothing changed. Here's what I got once I started tracking calories, because I realized I wasn't hitting my numbers, and then I started to hit my numbers, which was good, and then I realized I needed to adjust. So it will save you a lot of time. So make sure you get that right. Then when it comes to the training style, we need to make sure we're focusing on strength gains and strength retention more than cardio. Cardio is fine. I'm not saying don't do it, but too much cardio and not enough resistance, you will lose muscle tissue because you're in a deficit. Okay, your body adapts to what you put it through. So if you want to recomposition the body, which means we're trying to gain some muscle at the same time, we need to be getting stronger. Adding reps, adding weight, tracking our lifts, improving our form. The training program doesn't need to be complicated. This could be a pull, push, legs. It could be a chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs. It could be an upper body, lower body. It could be a full body workout once per week. Whatever your schedule permits you to doing, stick to that and progress with it. And again, you probably want to track it as well. I get all my clients to track everything, because without the data, you're just guessing. So that's that in a nutshell. That's supposed to be blueberries in a yogurt, which you probably can't see on the camera. That's a chicken and that's a broccoli. I didn't have a green pen, sorry. So yeah, that's just saying, look, pick foods that you know you can stick to. If I said eat a tin of fish for breakfast every day and you hate fish, that diet is not going to work. But if you do love fish, it's probably quite a good diet for you to stick to. Me personally, I like yogurts. I like chicken. Broccoli is all right, you know, but you'll work out your own diet. Don't stick to someone's meal plan. It's useless, okay? Take it from me, I've done 100 of them. Right, that's phase one. That's the setup. That is the plan. That is a recomp in a nutshell. That will get you 80% of the way there. Good times, right? Get strong, track your calories, hit enough protein, make sure your food is good. Don't do too much cardio. Phase two. This is where most people forget and drop off, or get stuck, or hit a plateau, or think, oh, this ain't working. Let me try something weird like carnivore or something, right? This is where you need to make adjustments, because as I said at the beginning, what got you here won't get you there. Your body is an adaptation machine, which is a good thing and a bad thing. This means that your body's going to go, yeah, cool, I'm used to this now. Like, yeah, we're going to the gym, doing 4 sets of 10 on bench, nice. We're hitting 2,500 calories, great. We're just doing that for 3 months, 4 months, your body's going to go, yeah, whatever, mate, nothing's going to change. That's why it's called stubborn body fat. So at this point, guess what? You're probably going to have to start to lower your calories, because as you weigh less, your body needs less calories to sustain it, okay? So I'm not talking a lot, we're talking like 200 calories down every now and again, but that is why you can use the nutritional blueprint to rework out your numbers as you lose weight, and then you've got your fresh numbers to stick to, okay? So you will need to adjust your numbers, and quite often it means bringing them down slightly. Rep schemes, okay? We've got 4 sets of 10, the classic 4 sets of 10, which is fine. The basics and classics work, okay? People say, oh, you don't need to do 4 sets of 10, you need to do 3 sets of 6.5. Like, people just trying to make things up to stand out in a crowded niche. I'm here to tell you it's boring. Here it is. So that's one way of going about it. 4 sets of 10, great, okay? But over time, your body's gonna get used to it. You're not gonna keep adding reps. You're not gonna keep adding weight. You might get stuck. You might hit a plateau. Because we're trying to focus on strength, at this point, you might want to adjust your training to be a bit more biased towards strength even more. You could go from 4 sets of 10 to 5 sets of 5. So you're going heavier, but you're doing more volume because you're doing more sets, okay? You could even just go, okay, well, I'll do 4 sets of 8, but increase the weight. So yes, you drop the reps down slightly, but you're increasing the weight. Either way, around this time in phase 2, you need to be making adjustments to your plan. You don't need to change the plan. If you're doing bench press, shoulder press, leg press, whatever the hell, all right? That's not a good routine, but let's say that's your routine. You don't need to change the routine every 3 weeks or every week, because if you change it too often, there's no continuity, so you're not overloading. It needs to be basic, boring programming. Track it, look at it at 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Have you added reps? Have you added weight? Or have you improved your form? If the answer is yes, leave it alone. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If the answer's, actually, I've been benching 80 kilos for 4 sets of 10 for 2 months and nothing's changed. Cool. Try 5x5 and go up to 90, okay? Or try not 85 and see if you can add reps and weight. And if you can't, maybe you need to go down to 8 reps and do slightly heavier weight. Do you see what I'm saying? Very basic overload, very simple, but it's a bias towards strength. Now this is a foot and 10K steps, the famous 10K steps, right? This is the point where you might want to think about adding in some steady state cardio, walking, steps, mountaineering, all right? Going on a treadmill, steady state, not sprinting, because if you're doing a lot of sprinting, you're going to use up carbs, glycogen, energy, ATP, which means you're going to take away from your strength performance. That needs to be prioritized. So this is just like an additional thing. So getting in some steps at this point is good. It helps just keep the body guessing, keep the body moving forward. This is when I would start to add steps just so that you don't have to drop the calories down too low. And then that's a beer, Okay, hopefully, I wonder if anyone can guess this. I would say leave a comment what you think these are, but kind of pointless. That's a beer. That's a pizza. So if you've got that right, you get a sticker. And that is not a TV remote, that is a bar of chocolate. So at this point, this is when you'd probably say no to these foods. Now, I'm not villainizing these foods. Can you drink pizza? No, you can't. Can you drink beer and eat pizza and eat chocolate and still lose weight? Yeah, because if those fit your calories, you're still going to be good. However, let's just be real here. If you're trying to hit, say, 1,600 calories and you have a pizza that's 1,200 calories, you're probably going to be hungry for the rest of the day, which means you're not going to work, right? And if you then have a pint on top of that, you'll very quickly go over your calories. So it's not really going to work. It's not nutritious. It's not healthy. At this point, that's where you probably want to say no to those. This is short term. I'm not saying you can never have these things, okay? So that's phase 2. You're adjusting, you're getting stronger, you're adding some activity, and you're starting to cut out some stuff that might be setting you off. And then phase 3. Now this is somewhat technical. Not really, but sort of. I've had a lot of clients get to this point and they can't fathom what I'm telling them. And this is why this is really important. This is actually why I made this video, because a lot of guys on the internet would say, hey guys, calorie deficit, move more, eat less. Cool. And it would work for the first, 4 or 5 months. There will be a point when progress stops and you hit a plateau and you're like, well, now what? And everyone's just going to tell you either the same thing, or that's when you're going to start going, maybe I should do a high rocks. Maybe I should start touching my toes and, putting my nuts to the sun. Like, people come up with weird things. And, if you want to try things like that, whatever. I'm not telling you what you can and can't do really. But phase 3, this is when your body starts to get hitting the wall. It gets plateaus. It gets stuck. It becomes extremely stubborn. That's why, these guys go, oh, this is how you lose that little bit down here. This is kind of that. This is how you get rid of the stubborn body fat. And let me explain exactly what this is. Breaking the patterns. And when I say that, when you do any diet, any training, your body will get what's called metabolic adaptation, okay? So your body becomes accustomed to the calories that you're eating, it will adapt, and then at that point, nothing's gonna change. So you have to find creative ways to break that pattern. So you don't wanna just keep eating less, because then you just run the risk of getting ill, not absorbing your nutrients, being deficient in B vitamins, C vitamins, D vitamins, micronutrients, bone density, sleep, everything starts to suffer, right? When you go too low calorie, because you're not really supposed to, starvation mode and all that. So what we can do here, instead of lowering the calories or, taking on less hours at work because you've got to go for more runs, which just isn't sustainable in a busy lifestyle, we're going to do a refeed day, okay? So this is a week, Monday to Sunday, and that's your calories. Let's just say it's 1,600 for now at this point, right? It would be quite low. One day of the week, maybe once a week, every fortnight, you're gonna have one high, massive calorie day full of carbs. And you're thinking, well, why would I eat more, mate, if I'm trying to lose weight? Well, this is gonna do a few things. One, it's gonna break the pattern, so the metabolic adaptation has changed. When you have a short-term increase in food, your metabolic rate has a short-term boost of speed, so it speeds up your metabolism shortly. And you're topping up your carbs and glycogen stores. Now, if you don't know what carbs and glycogen stores are, you eat carbs, your body breaks it down to glucose, it stores it in the muscle. Glycogen, that's energy. So that's why you get a big pump in the gym, and that's why you feel like crap when you're dieting because you've got less carbs. So this is going to top you up with carbs, which gives you better performance in the gym, which will help break the plateau and break the pattern. It's going to give you a temporary boost in metabolic rate, so it's a little bit easier to keep your body speeding things up. It's going to be better for digestion, absorption, energy, focus, etc. And it just helps make sure that you're moving forward. And mentally as well. If I said, oh, you got to eat, 1,600 calories for 2 months straight, and you're exhausted and stressed, and your friend invites you to a birthday party, you're going to struggle. But if you knew that you had one day where you can have 2,500 calories and you can plonk it on that day of your mate's birthday, and at the end of it you feel really good and you've got loads of energy, then you probably carry on a little bit more, which means you can get rid of that stubborn body fat. So that is a strategy that's very important. Also at this stage, scale weight does not matter, right? It's a big statement to make, and yes, you could always argue, oh, if you've got 3 pounds to lose, maybe you should see 3 pounds come down. But what I'm trying to say here is the amount of dudes that stress themselves out about the scales at this point, because the scales will come down at the start because you've made a change to your diet. You're eating less, you're weighing less. But you're going to be gaining muscle, losing body fat, eating carbs, losing carbs, big toilet trips, small toilet trips, because if you're eating less food, you're not going to be going to the toilet as frequently, as much, typically speaking. If there's less volume of food coming through, there might be a couple of days where you don't go to the toilet, right? I'm not saying that's what you should be doing, but this can result in the scale going up, 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 down, 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 up, 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 down, down, down. The last 4 months of my cut that I've just done on my recomposition, I stayed around 71.5 kg for about 4 months, but I visibly got leaner. So the scale weight kind of trailed off and plateaued. In fact, I'll show you the picture now. Reese, as I showed you at the beginning, in this photo, he weighs about the same in this transformation, if not slightly more. because his scale weight came down as he lost fat and dropped down his carbs. And then with the refeeds and the muscle gains on the way up, he came back up to the scale weight, okay? Definitely newbie muscle gains. That's a lot of muscle to gain in one swoop. And obviously it was his first rodeo, so he did get a lot of muscle. But this is similar things that I've had with like my client Matt. He gained a significant amount of muscle and his scale weight kind of stayed the same. My client Avi, his scale weight went up again at the end. So his scale weight's done this as he's lost fat and gained muscle. So scale weight doesn't matter. Do not stress. If you go up 2 pounds, that doesn't mean you've gained 2 pounds of fat. Do not stress. The lighter you are, the less you eat, the more susceptible you are to fluctuation on the scales. So that doesn't matter. And then at this point, because you're at the end of a recomposition, meaning you're low calorie, your body's getting used to it, you're going to be tired but have bursts of energy every now and again. This is the hardest part to finish. You're going to have to prioritize things like your sleep, your hydration, and your stress, okay? Yes, that can tie into all of this, but this is when it takes primary focus. This is when you have to really manage those things. Because if you sleep like crap, you're not going to be digesting your food very well, you're not going to be performing in the gym very well, you're not going to be feeling very good mentally, and if you're eating less food, you're going to be tired. This is when willpower focus drops off. This is why it's hard, guys. All this is simple. You can say, oh, calories, exercise, whatever. Doing it and knowing how all this affects you as a human being, that's the hard part. That's why my clients hire me in the first place, because they need that accountability, structure, and guidance. That's not me trying to glaze myself. I'm just saying that all these guys make out like it's easy, but it's an absolute psychological warfare. This is a journey. You know, Avi, again, for a good example, he trained for 8 years before he worked with me, and he was already in good shape. He could have easily gone, oh, I know what to do, I don't need help, but he was struggling to get this done. That's why this is the hardest bit. You need to manage boring stuff. Okay, and then the bottom line is, guys, this is my favorite bit, right? It takes time. I don't even know if it is in shot. Takes time. That's not another pizza covered in blue. It takes time. Once you get to this point, it's going to feel like you're chasing, you know, I don't know, chasing a waterfall, something that keeps going. I don't know. You're just not going to get anywhere, right? It feels like you're getting nowhere. You're stuck, but you have to see it through. Calorie deficits, refeed days, get stronger, manage your sleep, manage your weight. You're going to see that the scales do this, right? It's going to play with you mentally. You're going to go on YouTube again and go, right, what's the next shiny object? How do I really lose body fat? It's like, this is it, guys. I'm 34. I started learning this stuff when I was 14. I don't know everything. I'm not the world's biggest expert. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying that this is what I've learned after coaching so many people for so long, hitting my own frustrations. This is it in a nutshell. Okay, to summarize, set up your numbers, focus on strength, don't do too much cardio, pick the foods you can stick to realistically. Then slowly lower your calories, keep your protein high, focus on strength, add some steps, start cutting out stuff that's holding you back. Then you need to add refeed days so you can manage your calories, your energy, your focus, boost in performance, boost in metabolic rate. Don't worry about the scales at this point because it's going to fluctuate like crazy and that will mess with your mind so much. Manage your sleep, manage your hydration, manage your stress, and then stick to it long enough to get the result. It takes time. And if you fall off and you get stressed, just pick it back up. Okay, hopefully this video summarizes what a good recomp should look like and what to expect and what the journey looks like. As always, if you need my help, I do one-to-one coaching online. The video is not about that. That's why I put it at the end of the video, but I understand you might watch this and go, bloody hell, I need to do that, but I don't know where to start. Cool. You can start by booking a call with me or dropping a message on WhatsApp or email me or Instagram or even YouTube comments, whatever. Anyway, the video is not about that. I hope this helps. If you're thinking to yourself, well, what should I eat to hit these numbers? How did you do it, mate? You can watch this video here where I show you exactly what I ate to fix skinny fat and complete my recomposition. Like and subscribe, innit?